Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Now, today we're back with some more information to do with Ark Raiders. Now, the devs have just released this information. They're telling us and talking to us, doing a deep dive on why there is not going to be any mandatory wipes for Ark Raiders. Now, some of you may or may not already know, in a lot of extraction shooter games, there is normally like mandatory wipes where every certain season, every certain set date, you will lose all of your progress, you will lose everything, and you essentially start from scratch. But in Ark Raiders, they're doing things a little bit different. There is not going to be any mandatory wipes. Instead, they're doing what is called an expedition. So it's called the Expedition Project. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you know what they've said. So Virgil is the design director for Ark Raiders. And what he says is, I'd like to spend a bit of time talking about a topic that is important to many players familiar with games like Ark. This being the subject of progression wipes, or as we refer it to, the Expedition Project. Previously, the question of how we will handle resets or wipes has come up. Until now, the answer has been that currently we do not intend to do mandatory wipes. These words were chosen carefully as we don't intend to have any mandatory wipes. However, as some have guessed, we do have a voluntary reset mechanic. So just to make this clear, we absolutely see the benefits of a global wipe. Veteran players can experience the game fresh again, the economy gets reset to the baseline, and all players have about the same level of capabilities, at least for a little while. However though, one thing a mandatory wipe does not do is respect the investment of those players who do not have as much time to play overall. So what we have done, as with several other mechanics, before mimicking other established mechanics, we'd like to try our own method, ideally to the end that best suits Ark Raiders and a larger majority of its players. So there we have it, guys. They're not going to be doing like these mandatory hard wipes. They are doing a form of wipes, but it's going to be more, voluntary. So it's up to the player, the individual. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to not exclude the casual player base, because as you should already know now, casual players do carry nearly every single game that there is on the market. So they may not be the loudest, but that's just the way it goes. So Expedition Project. This is our version. So the tunnel networks connected to Speranza are vast, but largely unexplored or inaccessible. Most survivors stay within their settlements, but like the raiders who dare to venture topside, there are those who dare to venture even further. Once the Rust Belt has given all it can offer, some raiders choose to set out beyond the borders of what they know. As of now, this has always been a one-way trip. In the full game, players will have access to a feature called projects. Once you get to level 20, the first major project players will have access to is called the Expedition Project. Upon completion, this project makes a character reset available. If a player completes a reset, they will be able to do so again so long as they complete another of these projects. So you need to get to level 20 first, then you need to complete one of these projects, and then you are able to do a reset. The Expedition Project will operate on a repeating cycle of roughly 8 weeks. During the course of those 8 weeks, players can contribute towards and make progress on their Expedition Project, which will overall be a somewhat large time investment. So this is going to be for players like myself that may be able to put in more hours than the average player. It's something for us to be able to do and keep the game, fresh basically. At the start of the 8th week, the ability to finalize the project will become available and will remain available for that entire week. If a player has fulfilled all of the necessary stages of the project, they will then be able to commit to completing the expedition during this period. Should a player's project not be ready during that window to complete the expedition project, their progress will be kept, allowing them to continue working on the project until the next finalization window. Other projects may be added over time as part of updates, holidays, and other events. These will range in scale and reward structure. So guys, what is it that we get to keep, and then what is it that we lose? So what do you keep through an expedition versus what is lost? Players will lose anything inherent to their character's progress, so levels, skills, items, inventory, workshop, crafting capabilities, etc. Players will keep cosmetics, whether they've been earned or purchased, awards, achievements, rankings, essentially anything rooted solely in the metagame or involving real money will be kept. For convenience, after completing an expedition, players will be able to skip the majority of the onboarding and tutorial steps they went through as a new player. This being things like unlocking certain features, maps, etc. As they play through the early game, these will just be available from the start of a fresh reset. So that's good news. That's good to see. We don't have to go through all of that again. We can just skip that if we're doing a fresh reset of our own. Now, aside from players who like the thrill of starting fresh, why would you willingly give up all of your hard-earned progress? What's the incentives? So the benefits and the incentives are as follows. So right now, they are still finalizing the exact benefits and the exact rewards, but they will generally follow along these lines, right? So permanent account unlocks for each completed expedition, unique cosmetic rewards for each completed expedition, account buffs that are applied for the duration of the following expedition cycle, and sequential completions of the expedition project increases the magnitude of these buffs up until a limit though, guys. One point to drive home is that we are being very careful about the nature of these benefits. Completing a reset should never give a player power or combat advantage over anyone who has not completed a reset. Yeah, which is great. We don't want to be able to, because then in one breath you would say it's not a mandatory reset, but then if the benefits were so good, it then becomes a mandatory reset. You're going to want to, you're going to feel forced that you have to do this, right? So initially, the benefits are going to center around cosmetics and bragging rights, quality of life, and smoothing out some aspects of progression for those who have gone for a reset. What comes next? While any and all of this is subject to change, of course, between now, launch, and post-launch, that is about the shape of it right now. We hope that by making the reset mechanic voluntary and properly incentivized, we can observe the two results. First one, players who are highly engaged can experience the game fresh on a regular cadence while occurring some benefits. Number two, players who have less time to dedicate to the game don't have their progress reset outside of their own control. They are always able to compete and keep moving forward, and at their own pace if they so choose so. It's not a silver bullet, and it won't achieve the clean break that a mandatory global reset does, but it does aim to be more equitable to all players. Wherever possible, we want to value your time spent in the game as much as you do. Of course, this is a complex topic, so we are going to keep an eye on the discussions around this, and we're going to follow up and make changes as necessary. Thank you all for your interest and your passion for Arc Raiders. I look forward to seeing you all topside. Virgil. So there we have it, guys. So interesting. I do like quick little thoughts here. I do like the idea that there is a way to reset if you want to. It's completely up to yourself. It's not forced, it's not mandatory. But I do like also the fact that if you choose to do these resets, if you want to keep the game fresh, you do get rewards. And again, like they said, it's not going to be power. It's going to be, you know, centered around cosmetics and just, you know, quality of life. So to me, I like the idea of that. What do you guys and girls think? Leave me a comment down below right now. Do you think it should be a mandatory global reset, or do you like the sounds of what they're going for with this way? Personally, like I said, I like this way, but I know some people, some diehard Extraction fans, they might like the forced global one. But anyway, that's going to be it for today. So don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new here. Stay tuned for more Arc Raiders videos coming very, very soon. Have a beautiful day. Take care. Peace.